right. We got to go. Hey, welcome. This is Doug Crowe, and we have a very special guest on the show today. I mean, she's got an amazing story that I want to share with you, and the benefits behind that story are going to be revealed quite quickly for you when you hear the story. So, welcome to our live stream episode today with the brilliant and heartfelt centered leader, Nadine Akinyemi. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Doug. How are you?
Glad to hear. I understand you just finished a TEDx talk last week.
Oh, yes.
That's great.
Yeah. So I'm
Oh,
eating from the body was really an experience.
yes, I can't wait to hear more about that. But before the show started, we talked a little bit about what you do with your nonprofit and some of the hidden benefits to it. But I really want to hear about from your perspective. Maybe share a short story of working with somebody to give people an idea of it's not just put a few bucks, make yourself feel good. There's something much more deeper benefits to being involved with a nonprofit, which you've done your whole life. But if you could share a quick story, I'd love to hear about that, and we can get into what you're doing.
Just imagine that you're about 38, 40 years old and you're walking into this social service agency, not really connected to family. You're socially isolated.
Yeah.
You're on drugs. You've been suffered, childhood trauma. And that is sort of framed how you see the world and been, trying to survive. And you walk into this organization where they look at you from a place of compassion and understanding and really looking to help support you in, the journey. And you've not been talking to your family members for a long time. You've been on drugs, you're jobless, and you just
And this is a real story from somebody. We're not gonna mention his name, of course, but you're saying, imagine if, but it's a real person you have it clear in your mind, isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Go on.
yeah, yeah. And you begin this deeper work with the individual, really meeting them where they are, addressing the trauma and the stuff that even when you walk into different places, you could be triggered by, and
Yeah.
really taking that deeper, inner, humane look at what's impacting how people are responding in their environment, why they do what they do, how they behave. And you help this person in a program centered around trauma
Mhm.
and the impact of trauma on their lives. And not only that, you sort of look a little bit deeper and qualify them for a service that was very helpful. And this person I'm talking about, as I said, came in multiple sources of drug use and alcohol. And now they're doing trauma work and EMDR. And all of a sudden, life just open up and
Mm,
blossoms.
wonderful.
And this person is now laughing and happy. And, they went back to work and they
Mm,
went back to school. They're learning how to manage money and
mm,
different things like that. And they walk up to you one day and say, thank you. And that was one of the most fulfilling things I've ever experienced in my journey
mm.
doing this work in over 32 years.
Wow.
That someone would say, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for choosing me to be a
Mm,
part of this program. Because now my sister, who I've never spoken to for a long time,
yeah.
is now asking me, why am I so happy? And there's like, it's the program. And I'm like, really? Said, yes, it's the program. I really appreciate you taking the time out to offer this program to me. And now I am back at work. I am always happy.
Wow.
I'm laughing and I'm connected back to family. Those are just a few of the tiny snippets, moments that are so impactful in people's lives. And now we can be, a productive member of
Mm,
society, sober, right?
yeah.
And really looking forward to having and living a happy life.
Wow. I got so much I want to ask you and unpack. We're going to get to everything in a few minutes. I want to hear about your story, how you got involved. It's 32 years in doing this type of work and the benefits, the huge benefits, both financially and otherwise for donors to work with nonprofits. Sometimes they do it, for the tax deduction, just to say, hey, I'm contributing. But and I hear stories like that of treating somebody who their own family had dismissed and discarded, and you treating him as a human being and giving birth to this person, really, because he was on a downward spiral. Here we are, come to you guys, and all of a sudden he's like, new life.
Yeah.
You can't put a dollar figure on that. That's
Absolutely.
so. Yeah, we'll talk about how other people should or could and want to have those types of feelings by helping people out. But I want to hear your story, Nadine. How'd you get 32 years you've been doing this? You haven't lost your
Yeah.
drive at all? Tell me about first of all, how'd you get started with it? What's your background?
Well, I've worked in the hospitals and around when HIV and AIDS was like very rampant, people were dying. And so I sort of started doing that kind of work, deeper work with individuals were the hardest to reach and who were somewhat the rejects of society, but they were people. I ran support groups. I ran a clinic, where we provided services, and it was so moving, the stories that these are people who somehow, just hit this, bump in the road and just it felt like they were discarded. Right. And so I started that work, and then I was working with a doctor, and she was on the board of a nonprofit organization, because I've never worked in nonprofit before. That was my first time ever. And then she said, all of this stuff that you do, she said, you can make an impact if you move to this organization. So I sort of moved and applied, and I got the job, and was really around the time when it was just, we're talking about treatment adherence, where, people weren't adhering to their antiretroviral medication, and it was quote unquote, stigmatized. And, it's like, it's your fault that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I sort of started this program from scratch, which actually became it was a demonstration project with the AIDS Institute, and then it turned out into a full-fledged program. But I was working with another community-based organization and two other hospitals, so I was kind of the lead coordinator for the whole process. But what that brought me to was really, and that really sunk deep, was the need to reach people where they are, and not to stigmatize them, and not to make them feel other than, but to really welcome them. And I think a lot of times I get the comments that, you make me feel so good because you don't diminish me. I call people by their last name, Mr. So and so, and they didn't feel like, oh, I take drugs, or alcohol, and I'm a bad person. So that deeper work. And the thing is, you really have to have the love for what you do. You have to love people, right?
Yes.
And so you have to really get deeper than the surface, and really, to me, that my work has been an act of love. This journey has been an act of love. So I'm always advocating and getting deeper into what are the needs of these individuals who probably don't have a voice, right?
Sure.
And how can I be that voice? And how can I advocate for them? And how could I show them that they're worth more than they think they are? And I'm always telling them, you're bigger than you think you are. So, and I mean, there's stories, but it's really that deeper work. So I started back in 98 at what was then Brooklyn AIDS Task Force, my first non and only nonprofit that I've worked with. And over the years, we changed our name because we sort of expanded our services. So I started back then, and we were doing a lot of deeper work around treatment adherence and helping people to take their medication. And because there were tough drugs at the time too. There are a lot of side effects. and people were not really wanting to take them, right? And they had to take them right. They had to eat right. And it's this whole sort of deeper work that really sort of drew me in. And I began to sort of look at what's missing. What are the gaps?
Yes.
And I started to look deeper. And so a lot of the programs that came out from my experience working deeper and seeing the need and sort of piloting them before we even get funded for it. Right. Like even back in the days before HIV testing was big, I started connected with the Department of Health and started offering free HIV testing just so that people could, you know, identify whether or not they are and could get in early. And those were the days before rapid testing. So I had to trek from Brooklyn to First Avenue in Manhattan to drop off the specimen in 24 hours.
Yeah.
So
No traffic there.
no traffic there, no traffic there. But it was a really fulfilling journey. And I've seen so many people's lives change that it really warms my heart. And even talking about it now, I'm like deeply moved by by it because you can see where life can change and people can become who they really was originally what it's supposed to be, even with all the obstacles and all the barriers and all the twists and turns in life, and people could still achieve what they want to achieve if just they get the chance and the support and the love and compassion that they need to feel like I'm human and I can do this. And so that's kind of where my deep work.
I love that. Right? Just treat them like a human being, not some discarded cast off from society. You've got value. Everyone is a human being, is a miracle. If you don't treat them like that, then what are you? I want to talk for a few minutes about people who donate to nonprofits or get involved. I'm looking at the space of, and we know the data on this, that there's so much value and money and effort and resources being poured into nonprofits in general by private citizens and private companies and entities and family offices, things like that. And you've talked to me before about some of these people, but we're not going to mention names here, but I'd like to find out, like, why would somebody, an entity, a company, a trust, what types of things do they think about when they're donating money to Bridging Access to Care, your nonprofit? Why do they do that?
Well, I think a lot of times for the private donors and even some of the foundations, it's a personal thing that sort of initiated this desire to support and to see change and fund things that are important to them. And one thing I've learned over the years is that it's even a partnership. They want to partner with you, right? To really see the work done. And if you align with, their values and their mission, and that they don't think twice about funding. For example, to give you one example.
Please do, yeah.
So we applied for a grant from a foundation in Brooklyn. I won't say the name. And two of the reviewers came to talk to us about the services that we provide. And although we didn't get that grant, one of the individuals became one of our biggest donor.
Listen, mic drop, dramatic pause, whatever. I love that. Go on. This is great.
Yeah. So she funded our mental health services. In terms of, we wanted to move into the areas of serving children. And so we needed funding to sort of train staff, and she funded that. And year after year, she just continued funding. We didn't even have to ask. And not only that, she connected me to other folks. Yes.
For anybody else listening who runs a nonprofit, listen to this part of the conversation. She applied for a grant. The grant reviewers happen to be connected and, affluent, I'm guessing. But somebody's funded one program and for years and years. and then the network that opened up to you. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's wonderful. What was it? Obviously we're not gonna mention names, but what was their reason for getting involved with you at such a deep level?
It's the work that we were doing and the belief in the need for the type of deeper work that we were doing in the community that really sparked and initiated that kind of relationship to the point where they even volunteered to come on site to see the work that we're
Yeah.
doing. And we actually funded our children's wing.
That sounds like a lot of money coming in there for that
Yes.
person. Yeah.
Yes. And so, and not only wherever she's able to connect me to others, she's also served as the connector. So it's also about cultivation too, right? In
Yes.
fundraising. Yeah.
It might be wrong, assuming it's something deeper than that. There's a personal reason she's doing that, this donor?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's much
There's
more
a-
personal
Yeah.
than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But we also mentioned some of the community things, and this is one part that grants and trusts and, somebody does, who's in this ecosystem of, giving back to society and how trying to make the world a better place. There's a lot of things than just a check mark on your bottom line or on your your mission statement for giving back. There's some tangible benefits of improving your community and doing things. You mentioned some stuff that one of the entities did. But they got some other benefits of donating to your company, right?
Yes. I also think that it's very important for us to work within community and for community.
Yeah, yeah.
And I say this to say that there are so many other things going on that there needs to be bigger partnerships being formulated to address the needs of community. So whether it's the business owner or it's the real estate owner or developer or whomever that might be,
Right.
the restaurant, whomever that might be, that you can partner with. Because I always say this, you can't do this alone.
Impossible. Yeah.
It's impossible to do this alone. And I think traditionally we've been so conditioned to be looking out for me. But I always come from the space where how can we do it for us? How can we work together,
Mm-hmm.
as a community to make our communities better? And that's why, Bridging Access to Care is really focused around community wellness.
Yeah.
And so I give you another example of partnershiping, mutual partnershiping. A real estate developer reached out to me. They actually was connected to my board chair. And so he was looking for an organization who could really help support him around the needs of the community, which he owns a very large area. And I won't
Right.
go into details about
I understand. We talked about it before.
Right.
Yeah. There's people
Right.
in big chunks of land
Right.
where it's not just I'm fixing a building, I'm doing a whole
Right.
block or a community.
Right.
And you can't do that alone either. No matter how rich you are, you need other people who are in that community to support. I get
Absolutely.
what you're going with this. Keep going. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is about a 10,000 tenant, area. So just to give you the scope.
Yeah.
And what really struck me was the intuition and the attunement to the fact that there is something deeper going on with the behaviors that were being exhibited by tenants.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I was a bit shocked from a developer, a real estate developer who was quite wealthy, right, per se, but really understood that it was bigger than the symptoms that were being exhibited, that there was something deeper that was initiating that behavior, whether it's breaking the doors, whether it's not paying the rent. There's a bigger picture there that needed to be addressed. And so he asked for my help. And I was like, this is really a great relationship being developed here because I see this as a bigger vision, right? And I was like, okay, somebody sees this, but somebody who's not from the social service,
Oh
area
yeah.
who sees this. And that to me, we need more of. So right now, what they did was he asked me if I could support that work. And of course, it's aligned with our mission.
Hmm.
And so we come up with an agreement where we're now the social care agency on site for that
Oh, wonderful.
and 10,000 tenant area. And part of our work is to onboard tenants that are coming out of the shelter system and make sure that they don't sort of relapse and get back into the
Right.
shelter system, as well as address the issues around behavioral health, mental health, substance use,
Yep.
whether people need wellness. We brought on telehealth, we brought on food boxes, and
Mm.
just really assessing the need and not coming with a model per se, but let the people drive the model that we're developing. And so this is just a real great partnership where now they're paying for those services, right? So we bring those services in, they're paying for those services and they're
Hmm.
partnering from that space. And I think we need to see more
Yeah.
of those kinds of relationships where we're not just talking about the symptoms, but we're looking for, and he said this, I'm looking for long-term solution.
Brilliant man. Is a man the owner?
Man, yes.
So, one of the things I keep, and I don't want to bash anybody who's trying to do things a different way. So forgive me if I say, hey, you're trying to, quote unquote, house the homeless. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that that's just housing somebody. Nothing wrong with it. But what you're doing is treating people as human beings and helping them realize their true self and being part of society again, preventing them from falling back into the using shelters and taxing our social net. If we can have them bounce out of the social safety net into the world, everybody wins, including landlords, the people, the community, our neighbors. It's what you're doing is permanent solutions here.
Absolutely. And I can tell you the impact is great. And we've been doing this. We're in year two. We've seen over 400 tenants,
Mm-hmm.
including those that are part of the program, those who walk in. And the access that we've sort of connected them to is just phenomenal. And now they're like they know we're there. So, they'll come to us to sort of help them resolve their problems. And,
Right.
and so we're sort of also working to de-escalate, the tension between the management and the tenants and also identifying what their needs are and bringing in other resources
Wow.
to help them, whether it's we just launched a over 55 project for food and nutrition and
Mhm.
also telehealth services for primary care because a lot of times people are socially isolated. They don't go out,
Yeah.
right? They don't access care,
Mhm.
right? And so, these are things that I'm just really happy that we can bring to the community because
Mhm.
what it does is help the communities to get better and to get well. And I think that's our mantra, community wellness. How do we
And
help each other get better and get well?
right. And I love the fact that when people like yourself and some of your major local donors see that as it's not us and them. It is always we. Because no matter who you are, how much money you have, where you live, you're in a community of some kind, and
Yes.
that person might be across the street or down the street that you might dismiss, ignore, look down upon, but they're part of our community. Whether that community is 5 miles or 500 miles doesn't matter. We're all together on that part. So yeah, building bridges versus walls, Nadine.
Oh, yes.
That's you, man.
That's the work.
You're doing all about that. I love that. So let's summarize this for the trusts, the foundations, the grant people, the corporations who are giving and understand the value of that. Here's a tough question for you. So let's say I got an extra 100 grand burning a hole in my pocket, or an extra $1 million in my fund or my trust. I got coming up the end of the year now. I want to disperse my charitable money, why should they choose you?
Why? That's a very good question.
Take a second to think about it, but no pressure.
That's a very good question. And one thing that jumps out at me is that we're in the heart of the community and we're changing lives in a positive way. And I do feel that if your communities are well, then it impacts the economy, right? It impacts, how people access care. It impacts how people even access the basic necessities, right? Because you're empowering people to get jobs, you're empowering people to stay healthy, you are bringing people out of social isolation, you are addressing their mental health and substance use issues that would definitely impact the way they access and relate to one another. And I think it's really the deep heart of the work, right? It's really helping people to be their better selves, right? It's really that. That's the bottom line. Because if you can do that, then you actually impact a lot of things in community that makes the community better.
Yep. And not to be too capitalistic about this, but it sounds as though when people locally doing this, they're seeing an ROI, they're seeing a return on their, I call it investment, but when they donate, it's not just feel good. It's like, no, I'm actually making my community better in so many ways. So many ways. The people, the places, the economy, the jobs, the cleanliness, the values, everything goes up when you treat everybody, with some respect.
Absolutely. People are healthier, right? It reduces healthcare costs when
Right.
healthier.
Yeah.
And people started to work and do better and connect with families and be happier. I mean, it's a good return on one's investment. I mean, it spreads globally.
Yes. Right. Community of one. Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. So thank you so much today. Folks, if you're thinking about, making some end of the year donations, or if you want to cut in front of the line and do it now, this is one organization where somebody here has been spending 32 years on a mission that she's not going to stop, and she's making a dent in the universe. And I think it'd be wise for you to, and it doesn't have to be $100,000. It could be whatever you've got. But I think the value of rebuilding and uplifting an entire community by what you're doing is phenomenal. So thank you for your service.
And I thank you, Doug. I really appreciate giving me the platform to be able to really talk about heartfelt, lifelong work that is very, very dear to my heart.
Right. And for those listening and not looking at the notes here, it's Bridging Access to Care. It's bac-ny.org, nonprofit organization that Nadine runs. bac-ny.org, right?